Hello, everybody. Welcome to Lizziefaye Loves Books. It is still March, and we're in the middle. We're closing in on the last week of March Mystery Madness. What do we have left? About 8, 9, 10 days, something like that. What is today? The 22nd?
Yes.
So, anyway, I have invited a couple of March Mystery Madness hosts on today to chat for a little while, and it just kind of came to me this morning based on a Discord conversation that I kind of started yesterday, because I've been binge reading some cozy mysteries, and Storm replied that she was starting to feel a little burned out, and I think that is very, hey, Mr. Francie, that is a thing that can happen. It can and does happen sometimes if you are focusing on one type of book for a certain length of time. And so anyway, first let me say good morning to Storm from Storm Reads and Janelle from Too Fond of Books. How are y'all doing this morning? Thanks for coming
Good.
on short notice. And there's Tiffany. Hello, sneaking in to say hello. I know she's at work, but I'm glad you can at least say hello. So today we're going to talk about burnout, and if it happens to you, how you deal with it. Does it put you in a reading slump? Um, is it a thing for you? Does it happen to you, or do you wonder when people say that? You're like, what are you talking about? I don't get burned out. So, um, anyway, well, we don't have to start there. We can start wherever you want to start. You guys want to at least just say good morning and what you're up to today and all of that. So, Storm, you could start.
Hi. I'm not up to a whole lot today. It's rainy and overcast, and it makes me sleepy.
Yeah, I saw. I was looking up the radar, just kind of all around the country, and it looks like it's pretty bad in Louisiana right now, and the rain and the clouds sort of
Yeah.
carried on farther west
We
of
we
that.
got pretty lucky in Missouri. It looks like most of it went more south than where
Yeah,
I am, but we had quite a few like storms last night, but they weren't real bad ones.
where
I
there's
know,
some
like,
tornadoes in Texas too.
yeah, there was like Oklahoma and Texas got some, I think.
Mm, I'll have to check with my family family members.
Well, we're experiencing beautiful weather up here in Canada. It's gorgeous and sunny today. We've had temperatures above zero for over a week. So the snow is really melting now. It's great. We're actually seeing patches of grass. We haven't hit double digits yet, but it's gorgeous. So that's
Nice.
great. And I'm like you, Storm. When it's cloudy and rainy, I am totally sleepy. And then when the sun comes out, I'm like, woo!
Yeah.
So now, Janelle, are you in British Columbia? What part
No,
of
I'm in
Canada?
Saskatchewan.
Saskatchewan. That's right. That's
So
right.
sort of
Okay.
above North Dakota.
Okay.
Sort
So,
of.
Mr. Francie, what's the weather like in Australia right now? Are you guys are having summer, or like when it's spring
They're
here,
in
it's fall
winter. I think
there?
they're getting close to being out of winter, maybe.
You're
Mhm.
going, or well, no, because they're coming out of summer, going
Is it
into
like
fall.
fall or whatever? I guess
Isn't it
now.
just the
Yeah.
opposite
Yeah, it's the opposite of us. So, like, I guess if we're going into spring, they're going into maybe fall.
into fall? That's what I'm thinking. I don't know. Tell us,
Um,
tell us about it. Tell us what it's like. Hello, Breezy. How are you this morning? Great to see you. So, back to the subject that I was thinking of today, and then we can venture off into other topics. But when we first started March Mystery Madness, I had not been on BookTube very long. I started in BookTube in 2015, and then we started this in 2016. And I don't know that there were any other month-long readathons. There might have been one or two, but almost all the readathons that I knew of were a week long. That was a pretty standard time for a readathon. And so when Troy and I started talking about it, we were like, well, what if we did it for a whole month? And then that way, it gives people more time to read. Plus, the name of it, was March Mystery Madness. And it kind of, you know, the name itself sounds like it should be for the whole month, a whole month of mysteries in the month of March. So that's kind of what we went with. And I think we had 8 prompts at the first year. And we had only a few participants, And I think that I pretty much committed to reading only mysteries the first few years. Since then, I'm in book clubs and things, and it's not always possible. But um, I don't know that I ever could say I burned out on mysteries for the month, but usually by the time the month was over, I was ready to move on to something else, for at least for a little while. And so I wonder sometimes, like, I'm curious about Roe, for instance, Cozy reads mysteries, because she went to all cozy mysteries a few years ago, and I always wonder, do you not get burnt out? Do you not ever like crave to read something else? Um,
She doesn't actually, because in the Killing Time with Cozies, I actually said something about
yeah,
I think I'm burning myself out with just reading a lot of mysteries, because a lot of it had to do with what I put on my TBR,
uh-huh,
I think.
Mm.
And she's like, I never get, I like just the formula of the cozy mystery,
yeah,
and she doesn't get burned out on it. And she also can, there's a really fluffy cozies, and then there's a little edgier cozies,
hmm,
and then with all the different themes,
right.
she can hop around in all of those, and she feels fine with it.
Yeah, and I think that's great. I'm just, it makes me curious, because then there are some people who would be like, "Wow, if I read a couple of mysteries, then I got to read something else." And I just was um, commenting to Ariane from Book Zealots the other day, because she's been all in with middle grade March, and she did a video the other day, and she said, "I have been reading so many middle grade books that I'm craving nonfiction." And so she had to just stop and read some nonfiction. And so I don't know. So Janelle, I know you read a lot of mysteries all year long. So do you find that you need to switch it up a little bit and read different kinds of mysteries, or are you content with, um, you know, the same? I mean, what do you do?
I don't really experience burnout. I do read mostly mysteries, but I do also read nonfiction and historical fiction and you know, stuff like that. So even though I don't experience burnout, there comes a point in March where I'm starting to think there's a couple of historical fictions that I've been interested in, but I'm holding off, right? Because
Yeah,
March is just supposed to be mysteries. So it's
right.
not burnout, but I was like, oh, there's a couple books that I want to read, and there's some nonfiction that I want to read too. But I don't mind waiting until April to do it. So I'm finding I'm not really burning out. I'm actually I had this un unsaid challenge, I guess, for myself, that I wanted to try and read a book a day during March, a mystery a day. And I'm close. I'm like 3 or 4 books behind. So I'm not experiencing burnt out, but I'm like a little bit not disappointed in myself, but now I'm pushing myself. I'm like, okay, I've got to catch up, and so that I can actually read 31 mysteries. So I'm finding like the shortest books that I have on my TBRs, because so I can boost my numbers.
Do you do any audio, or are you one of those people who reads faster than audio?
I read faster than audio, so I do enjoy audio every once in a while, but I tend to have it so fast that sometimes the voice sounds funny and then it gets ridiculous, right? So I don't mind. I like audio, especially when it's a reread. So I did audio for The Murder in Old Bombay, and I loved that. The audio was fantastic. And so I didn't have to speed that one up very much, because I was fine with taking my time with that one, and I listened to it while I was making a jigsaw puzzle. So it was so that was totally fun. But sometimes when I wanted to pick up the pace a little, I had the physical book as well, and if I was reading the physical book, then I had the audio really fast in order to be at my reading speed. So I read some of it like that, and then some of it at a normal speed while I was doing a jigsaw. But I don't tend to listen to a huge amount of audio.
What about you, Storm?
I listen to a lot of audiobooks. Probably like more than half of my books are on audiobook. Even if I have the print version to follow along with or whatever, I don't read fast, and so I can make the audiobook read faster than I can. So I can
Same.
get through them a little bit faster that way. I think what I did like this time, I wanted to try some of the more old school, like long running series that are still running now, like I did the Jack Reacher and everything. And then I'm like, oh, I can read the first and the second book of those series. Well, I didn't even realize that like Jack Reacher was so big until after I already set that up, that it was over 500 pages. And so was book 2. And so I'm like, oh my goodness. Okay. And then I read like the first Lucas Davenport book, and it's like about 400 pages. And I was going to read like the second one in that series too, which I haven't got to because I wasn't a huge fan of the first book. And everybody says that Lucas Davenport gets better as it goes, and it's still a long running series. So he has to get a little bit better than the womanizing person he is in the first book. So I'm like, but then it's like, I don't really think I want to read that right now. It's like, what am I going to do? That wasn't part of my 2x2 thing.
Yeah. Well,
and then I have this one that I'm working on too, which is still pretty big. And I have Into the Woods by Tana French, which was like over 400 pages. And I'm like, I should look at the page count before I like say I'm going to put all these books on my TBR, because that's my problem. Is it's like I look at it and I go, it's another like chunker, and I'm like, I'm not wanting a chunker. So I like to throw in some extra middle grade books because I need something light.
Yeah.
So I kind of went off the TBR, but I'm like, if I don't, I could feel myself, because I'm looking at the books that I need to read and going, I don't want to read those. So I'm like,
it's fine. It's only you that is impugning it on yourself to make yourself read those. Switch it up, change around. No one is gonna, there's no readathon police that's gonna say, no, you said you were gonna read this, so you have to stick to that.
Yeah,
it's only in your
TBR police, but it's in my head that
I know. I hear you. I definitely hear you.
Yeah, and those in your head TBR police, or any kind of in your head police, can be pretty hard to, resist or whatever. Yeah. You know what I was thinking too, as far as burnout goes, I've been reading a pretty big variety of mysteries during the month. And so I think that really helps. Like, I think if I was only reading one kind of mystery for the whole month, I could see myself burning out. Like if I was only reading cozies, or if I was only reading historical mysteries, then I might start to burn out on it. But I've been reading such a good variety, I think, that that it's felt fresh, because I've read some Golden Age, and I've read some cozies, and I've read some historicals, and I've also read some books that are not the types of mysteries I normally read, which I think really helps. So like that Jack Reacher, I never would have picked it up, Storm, if you weren't hosting that read along. And I did really enjoy it. It's not my kind of mystery at all. That's not the kind of book that I normally read. But I was really intrigued by his character. The character of Jack Reacher is really interesting, because he's kind of different from the types of characters that you normally get in those kind of books, or even like I'm kind of picturing him in movies and shows too, like that kind of character. He's a bit different, and so I did enjoy.
He's a man of few words and a lot of action.
Yeah.
I've still got it here on my overdrive. It says I am 8th in line on, because there's only one copy.
Yeah, and because they made the TV show Reacher, it's become popular again. So it seems like a lot of people are having a hard time getting the first book.
So when it pops up, I will listen to it. Is your discussion thread for that on your Discord?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you don't erase it or something, I'll come back and
I'll leave it up for a little
about
while.
it. Okay, all right, good, good. So
my husband actually started watching the show, the Reacher show, the new one, and he's really enjoying it. He says it's really well done, and so far so good. And so it's funny because he said, "Do you want to watch that with me?" And I said, it depends. I said, watch a little bit more, and then let me know how violent it is.
Oh yeah,
because it depends how they do it, right? Because in the book, I could read it. The book wasn't bad. There are a couple scenes of violence, but it's not like, it doesn't go deep dive into all the violence. So it depends on how they do it in the show. Have you watched the show, Storm?
Yeah, I just finished it yesterday.
Okay. And what would you say about the level of violence?
I would say it had quite a bit in there.
Okay.
Yeah, because like there was some pretty gory parts, so you might I was like,
Yeah.
wait, there was this one part with the police chief, and I was like, that one was kind of gross.
Oh, see, that's the part I was wondering about, and I didn't want to ruin it for Aaron because he hasn't read the book or anything, and so I was like, let me know when you get to a part about the chief of police. Let me know about that. that'll
Because I
let
had
me know
to
if I
think
wanna
back. I
watch
was like,
it.
oh wait, that part was a little gross. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So let's catch up with the comments. And while we're reading through the comments, all of you guys who are out there watching, thanks for being here, by the way. Let us know if you get any readathon burnout or just any reading burnout in general, like if you read all of one genre, and how many books in one genre can you read before you have to read something else, that type of a question. So let's catch up with the comments. Let's see what Mr. Francie had to say. In February, I only read cozies. I love my cozies, but by the time I got to the end of the month, I was so ready to mix things up. My answer: a match TBR in 8 different genres. LOL. So yeah, so you did like a match TBR, like a matching thing, like
I wonder if
2
that was
different.
March.
A March TBR was 8 different genres. Okay, so was it all mystery genres or just a lot of different things?
In February, he did all cozies, and so
Right.
in March, he's like, I have fantasy and
Okay.
science fiction,
Yeah.
and so he has.
Yeah. No, I don't blame you. I don't blame you. Um, and I tried to do the Cozy Up Readathon, and I'm still reading some of the books now that would have fit those prompts, and I will eventually get it all done, but I just couldn't squeeze it all in, and especially knowing that I was going to be reading mysteries all month this month, I didn't stress about it too much, but yeah.
And I read like a large variety of mysteries every month usually, but it's just, I think, the type of books that I put on my TBR. I didn't have a lot of like newer ones. Like I did a lot of the older ones that were from like the 80s and things like that, because they were on my SAS list of new to me series that I wanted to try. So I was like, oh, this
Yeah.
is a good time to like get in there and try some of these. And I'm like, oh, maybe I should not have put all of them on there.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, and Becky says burnout is very easy when you're focused on one genre. Yes, yes. Breezy Ann says good morning. We said good morning, Terry. And so we had asked Mr. Francie what time it was in Australia or what the temperature was like. He says it's nighttime here and we're in fall, up and down, hot days and cold. Yeah, that sounds about right. Breezy Ann, I'm glad you're off work this morning. I always mean to ask you what you do as a job. I know you're always like on Saturdays you're at work, so I know you don't have a regular 9 to 5 job. But I'm glad you're here today. And by regular, I shouldn't say that. That's like saying normal. I know you don't have like a strict, weekday 9 to 5 job since you do have to work on Saturdays. Hello, Donna. Hello, hello. Glad you're coming in. So Breezy says, if I look at the genres I read during the year, I read primarily mystery. I don't feel like I get tired of the genre, but I do usually mix in other genres. I also read different types of mysteries. Yeah, and I think that's a good thing to do, especially within March Mystery Madness, is to pick some different mysteries, so different subgenres, so that you don't get burned out.
So like on an average, if I read 20 books, then 10 or 11 might be mystery, but then there was those other ones that were different genres, so I wasn't just straight. Whereas like this time, it's like they're almost all mysteries, and it's like I have put in a few like that weren't like, well, I have buddy reads or something like that they're not mystery, so it's like, oh, a little break.
Well, and plus you said if they're all chunky like that, then
Yeah.
you don't have that psychology of like checking them off as fast.
Yeah.
There's something to be said with reading some shorter books and being able to check things off faster. I think that it just gives you that good exhilaration. It's like, oh, I'm getting through all these books. So Breezy Ann says, I can read faster than audio, but I struggle to find the time to read with my eyes. Yeah, that is always the struggle. So I get through books much faster with audio because I can do it while driving, doing chores, shopping, etc. Yes, yes. And thank you. Yeah, they realized before I did that you said March. I have no set plans for April, so I'm thinking I'll mood read more and maybe do a couple of rereads. Very good. And Mr. Francis says, I feel like mixing it up genre-wise definitely helps deal with being in a slump. But if not genres, then age ratings works too. If I'm reading too much adult, then I'll grab a middle grade or YA, etc. Yeah, that's a good idea too. And Breezy says, oh, Oh my goodness, you work at a boarding kennel. Usually work weekends and holidays. I had no idea. I bet that's
I
really
thought
fun.
she was animal somehow, but I wasn't quite sure exactly what.
Oh, fun. That's awesome. All right. Donna says, I do need to mix things up, although there are times when I can binge mysteries, which have always drawn my interest the most. I read every word and take time to feel what the book is saying overall. Yeah, same here, Donna. I like to read when I'm reading with my eyes. I don't skim unless, okay, I will say, if it's midnight on the last day of the month and I want to count that book for the month, I will skim to the end and then I'll go back and read carefully when I'm awake. That is
Yeah.
the one time. Is there anyone else that does stupid, ridiculous things like that?
Oh yeah.
Because and I didn't even worry about that before BookTube. And some people who are on BookTube don't worry about that. So it's just a personal thing. But I feel like if I'm gonna do a wrap up for the month, I want and I'm close to finishing anything, I want to be able to, get that in under the wire and be able to count that for the month. It doesn't matter to anybody but me, but it's just my ridiculous brain.
Yeah.
It's probably an OCD thing. I don't know. All right. So Janelle brought up audio speeds earlier. I agree. Depends on the narrator. Some talk faster than others. Sometimes I slow it down. Others I need to speed up. I don't think I've ever had to slow anybody down unless I can't understand a word they're saying. There have been times when I just can't figure out what they're saying, and I go back and I slow it way down so I can hear it.
And then it's like I might as well just read it.
Yeah. Well, sometimes I don't. If I don't have the book,
Yeah.
there have been times when I just read when I'm listening on audio, and I don't. I don't.
Usually
have the physical
it's
book.
the like a foreign or an accented narrator that I have to keep at a slower speed, because if you speed them up with the accent, you're like, what? What?
Yeah. Yeah. Um. Something came in my head, and I already forgot what it was. Anyway, I don't know. Hello, Linda J. Welcome, welcome. We are talking today, kind of our general topic today is about burnout and readathon burnout. And if you, with March Mystery Madness being a month-long when I say readathon, do you get burned out? Now, sometimes people, they'll participate and maybe they're just reading one or two mysteries throughout the month, and which is great, and so they don't get burned out. I want to say, and I was hoping that Scott would be on today, and I want to publicly apologize to Scott from the Bookish Bryants, because last week he signed up to be on, and I didn't even think about going on to look. I didn't post the link on our Google Doc, and I totally missed that he wanted to come on last week. And so I messaged him, Scott, if you're out there, I did message you back to come on this week if you want, and I put the link in the Google Doc. But anyway, I want to say that last year, when in one of their videos, Scott was saying that towards the end of March, because he had gone all in, he was like, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready for something else. And I, that's definitely understandable if you are really going full force all in on something to give yourself some time. The one of the first times I participated in Tome Topple, which is also kind of unusual because it's a 2-week readathon. I don't know if any of y'all have ever done Tome Topple.
I haven't done it, but I've heard about it.
Yeah, I haven't done it lately, but the times that I have done it, I've gone all in. So I only read during that 2-week period, I only read books that were 500 pages or more, and I wanted to see how many I could get read in those 14 days, and I got 9 done. Several were audio. There were maybe only 1 or 2 that were print, and I was pretty proud of myself for getting 9 500-page books done, in a 14-day period. But then at that point, then I was ready to knock out some shorter books, So
Yeah.
It's like next month I'm like, I don't want to even look to see what readathons are happening, because I already knew that I was going to do Amish in April, but I am probably going to spread mine out through the month, because I'm like, I don't know if I can read all of these that I want to read in like a week or something.
Yeah.
Because I didn't
Well,
know how
I'll
long
tell you, we did set the dates, and we haven't announced. I think our announcement videos are going to come out around the 5th. But I can go ahead and leak the info for anyone who's interested. Amish in April is going to be from the 19th through the 30th. So not quite 2 weeks. It's going to be 12 days. Last year we did 10 days. And I thought, since I kind of got started doing this Terrific Tuesday, and we were talking about 20th to the 30th, and I said, oh, but if we do 19th, then I could do a kickoff, on a Tuesday and have 2 Terrific Tuesdays for Amish in April. So that will be the schedule then. So probably by April 5th we'll put out the announcements, but just so you know, it'll be most of the last 2 weeks of April, and it can be any Amish themed book, book or books. It can be mysteries, it can be romances, it can be Christian books, it can be whatever. There's some Amish cozy mysteries that are Christian and some that are not Christian, and there's some that, I mean, they're not like faith-based. And then there's gritty stuff. Like every year Sarah reads the Linda Castillo books.
That's
I've
what
read
I'm
one of those. I might
venture.
venture out to pick up one more of those. So,
But I have 3 from one series that I want to read, and then I want to try one of the Linda Castillo books. I've never tried her before, so I wanted to try one of those. So it's like 4 books. It's like, I don't know. And then I'm like, what if I don't want to wait?
I think you would like them. The Linda Castillo books. I think you would, because you read grittier stuff, right?
Yeah.
And you like stuff that's a little bit darker. So I think you would like them. Have you ever tried any of those, Janelle?
The Linda Castillo books?
Yeah.
No, I haven't. I don't tend to read a ton of Amish books. I don't know why. Not
Well, they're
intentionally.
they're very unique as far as Amish go, because most of your Amish themed books are not even close to being gritty like that. So that kind of makes them unique. Oh, my alarm's going off.
A lot of books I choose to read are set in the UK. I kind of tend towards that instead of books set in the States. I do read a lot of books set in the States as well, but kind of my go-to is to look for books that are set in the UK.
UK books too.
Yeah.
A lot of my like historical mysteries and stuff are always usually set in the UK. So
yeah. Yeah,
let's see.
Big Anglophile. Yeah.
Mr. Francis says, I also have an audio issue with volume, especially if there's more than one narrator. One might speak it softer than another. So, yeah, I could see that. I don't think I've encountered that much, but definitely I could see that being an issue. Breezy says, I really pushed myself to finish more books in March since discovering March Mystery Madness last year. Well, great. I'm glad that helps motivate you. That's awesome. Donna says, and I do read almost entirely in print, both physical and ebooks. I hear every word in my head to be in the story and hear how the author uses language. I only do audio if the book is very short. Interesting. Donna, my sister, I don't think ever listens to audiobooks either. There are, some people just, they don't need it, they don't want it, then they're not going there, and there's sure nothing wrong with that. I kind of started audiobooks more out of necessity than anything, and when my kids were little, and I just discovered that I loved having that freedom to be able to consume books without having to sit and hold them.
I think my has a lot to do with it too. Like I do a lot of ebook and audiobooks. And whenever I did my retro romance readathon in February, a lot of the books that I were reading were print books. And I was like, man, I can't read this. I can't focus. I take my glasses off and try a certain way. And then my like carpal tunnel was hurting because holding it open. And I'm like, man, I got kind of wimpy because
Mr. Fritzy, you're so cute. He says, just put it out there. This is a hidden gem that next to no one knows about that's Amish. I wonder if you hear of it. Amish Candy Shop. Yes, I think we've heard of that. You know what, though? It's so funny because last year for Amish in April, I think I had only read... I didn't really discover Amish Cozy Mysteries until maybe 2 years ago. But yeah, because of the Killing Time with Cozies and everything, somehow people started reading Amish Candy Shop, and it just took off. And so I would venture to guess that's one of the favorites. That's one of the most mentioned cozy mysteries in the Discord group. And and because of that, because when I first started Amish in April, I was reading Beverly Lewis books, and I still do. I love those. But I'm really glad that there's a lot of other options, a lot of other ideas for Amish themed books. But yeah, so many people picked up and read the Amish Candy Shop because of Amish in April last year, and it just took off. So that's awesome.
Yeah, last year,
Go ahead.
I was gonna say last year was when I first heard about the Amish Candy Shop series, and it was for Amish in April. And I read the first book during the Amish in April, and then I like binged the rest of the series through the year and got caught up.
That's awesome. I think I ended up finally catching up right at the end of the year, but you just buzzed right on through all of them like right away. So Linda has a good idea. She says, because I'm so busy, I use readathons as an excuse to take time to read. Yeah, that's valid, because if you know that you've got like a goal to look for, a goal that you're working towards, then it's like, okay, but I set this goal for myself for this readathon, so I'm going to make sure that I allot some time to it. And I think that's great. I am motivated by things like that. Now, people who are mood readers are not motivated by that. They will be demotivated by a big TBR of structured, goals and things like that. They'll rebel and say, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to read what I want to read.
I'm like a huge mood reader. And so I make a TBR, and that's what I do. I'm like, but I don't want to read those now. I want to read this over here.
And I'm not at all. I am totally a TBR reader. And part of the reason I binged so many books this past weekend is because on Hoopla, I get 12 borrows a month. So at the end of the month, whatever I have left over, I will usually go ahead and borrow that many left over. And then sometimes at the beginning of the month, I think, okay, I've got 21 days to read those, so I'll go on and do something else. So then when it gets down to the wire, or right around the 20th or 21st, I have all these books I got to finish, or I have to renew them. And so that's what happened this time. So over the weekend, I'm not even sure how many books, but I had this one to finish. Well, I really just started and finished this on Saturday, to Helvetica and back. So I didn't watch the live stream yet because I didn't get it done in time quite. And then I had Honey Roasted that I still needed to finish. And so then I was going to binge a bunch of the Monica Ferris books. I've got physical copies, I think, of all of them. Maybe not one of them in here, but anyway, I had 4 of them. So here's 3 right here, but I got them done. And I had one other nonfiction book that was only 5 hours long that I had borrowed. It was one I was going to read for the Library Love Readathon, and I'd already turned the physical book back in, but it was on my Hoopla, and I got it done just a few minutes before it was going to expire at like 12:30 a.m. this morning. So yesterday I started and finished 3 books, and over the weekend I started and finished probably 6 books, and 5 of the 6 were all cozies. And you might think now that I'm burnt out on this series, but I'm really not, because I got so into the characters, and because I went from one to the next, it all just kind of feels like one big story. So I think if it's something I'm really enjoying, it's fine to go.
If I'm like super enjoying a series, then I don't burn out on reading the series, but I do get like series burnout, and I have to like switch them around. But like whenever I first discovered the Library Lover series by Jen McKinley, like I was like, where's the next one? Where's the next one? I subscribed to Scribd so I could get them off of there because I couldn't find them at the library. I mean, I like flew through the whole like series. I just wanted all of them.
And since you mentioned Scribd, I have definitely found, I know that we always talk about how they cut you off, but here's the value, I think, of Scribd. they get new releases sometimes faster than Hoopla and on audio, and they have a lot of the same books as Hoopla. So what I'll do is go and listen to the majority of what I need to read on Hoopla, but then I can go to Scribd and I can get the latest one faster, and it's totally worth it to me because I definitely get my money's worth on Scribd. So just throwing that out there. And I do have an affiliate link at the bottom of my channel too. So if anybody hasn't tried Scribd and you want to, I finally remembered to just put
Scribd
that
is
in
one
my
of those
defaults.
things that it's like, do they have what I want to read? Yeah, okay, maybe I'll subscribe for like a month, and then I kick it off.
But I have found that they have way more than I want to read. A lot more than Audible Plus. I'm still working on this one series on Audible Plus, and then I'm going to let that go because I can hardly find anything on Audible Plus that I want to read. So
Yeah, I
let's.
don't have Audibles either. I do have AnyPlay right now, but I think I'm getting ready to like cut the strings off of that one for a while.
What's it called? I haven't heard that.
AnyPlay?
Yeah, I haven't heard of it.
Yeah, it's $9.99 a month, and it's really good for like those who like romance, but it does have quite a few cozies. But I have noticed that a lot of the cozies is on Hoopla, so but there is that one occasional book on there that I can't find anywhere else on audio, and it's like on there. So I keep keeping it, but I'm like, that's $9.99 that I really, do I really need that book so bad?
Is it like Audible where you have to pay by the book or?
No, it's unlimited, and it actually is fairly unlimited. It's not, it doesn't cut you off like Scribd does.
Let me search it out. And how much do you have to pay per month?
It's $9.99.
I think you said that twice, and I'm just trying to look it up. I can't do two things at once. Let's see.
But I'm very much a mood reader too. Sorry, going back to what you were saying, Storm. I'm really a mood reader too, and so I never do TBRs unless it's for readathons. Really? And then I make them piles of possibilities because I'm exactly like what Elizabeth was said. If I have a short list, I have to read these books. Then nope, I don't want to read those books. I want to read something else entirely.
It's like why I didn't set up these are the classics that I'm going to read this year, because I tried that one year and I didn't read any of them.
Yeah.
So I'm like, maybe if I like write them down and I pull a couple out or something, and that one sounds good, I'll read that one, or something. And
yeah. It's like this little minor rebellious streak. I don't know where it comes from, because they're all books I do want to read. But then it's like, nope, I don't want to read that one right now. I want to read this one right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it doesn't help watching videos.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, that one sounds really good. So you go look it up. Oh, I can get it on like Audible, or I can get it on here. It's on Hoopla. Let's go.
Oh my goodness. It's terrible watching the videos. And then suddenly I have 50 books out from the library. And I thought, how did that happen?
Yeah.
But you can have 100, right? Isn't it you that can have 100?
Isn't that insane?
I think my library lets us have 50.
Wow.
Actual physical books and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy.
It's
because I asked them one day, because I was like, how many books can we actually have? Because people were saying that, and they were like 50, and I'm like, oh, reads 50 in like 3 weeks. We only get ours for like 3 weeks. So
yeah, us too. It's 3 weeks. You can renew, but still, I know it's insane. But yeah, I'll have like huge amounts of books from the library. I never read them all. I often have to send them back before I've read them. But it's the same idea. I just like to have lots to choose from, right? So.
Well, and as booktubers, don't you ever just check out a book to have it for a video?
Yeah.
So March Mystery Madness becomes this delicate dance of books out from the library because I have to have them for videos, but I can only have 100 out at a time. Like, it's hilarious.
Delicate dance. I like that.
Because I like to catch up with the comments and not have to edit so much by putting all these pictures in. So if I can find the book, even if I'm going to do audio or ebook, it's I can hold it up.
Exactly.
Linda says she signed up for Hoopla last night. I think free audiobooks is going to change my life.
Yeah, we were talking
absolutely
about last night on the live that we were having last night, that we were telling her, you ought to try, find out if your library has Hoopla, because
how many borrows can you get a month, Linda? we used to get 10, and then when COVID hit, they bumped it to 20, I think, but now it's back down to 12. But then Hoopla started this thing where there are a few that you have to wait on. Most of them are instant borrows, and then there is some of the newer releases that you have to go on a waiting list for. And I'm trying to think how many of those I get. And I almost never use those because almost everything I want to listen to is stuff that's instant
I was
borrows.
gonna say I haven't run into that with Hoopla. Maybe it's because I don't get like these instant new releases. Mine's always older.
They're called flex borrows. So I have 12 instant borrows and an extra 10 flex borrows per month. So I do technically have 22. I could do 22 books in a month. But the flex borrows are ones like on Overdrive where you have to wait for them. So Donna says, when I used to have long commutes to work and school and my husband and I travel by car, I did listen to audiobooks for a while. I do love Judy Kay as Kinsey Milhone and Sue Grafton's books. Awesome. I have not read any Sue Grafton. I had a coworker who was reading those, and I guess I was curious about them, but he was way down in the series, and I said, oh, are you really enjoying those? And he said, well, after a while, they sort of all seem the same, and that kind of turned me off of it a little bit.
No, I like those. Kinsey's a great character. She's a private investigator. But what's great about the series as you go on is you get a lot about with the side characters. Like, so she kind of has this found family that are great. And so that's one thing that I loved about the series too, is the mysteries are good, but then you also get these little side stories of the other characters, which are really fun.
Is Kinsey Milhone a private detective or an amateur sleuth or what?
She's a private investigator.
Okay.
Yeah. And the other thing that's great is because the series started in the 80s, it's pre-internet, pre-cell phone. So I think that makes it like it puts like these additional, well, for our world, additional difficulties on an investigator, right? So you get in the book like that she'll have to find a payphone if she needs to make a call, if she's out following somebody or something. And she types up all her reports on her typewriter. And it's great.
That's cool.
I've read the first
any of
one,
those,
A's for Alibis, and I meant to continue, and then I never did. So I probably have to read that one over again.
Yeah.
So you have read the first one?
Yeah.
So Breezy says, none of my libraries have Hoopla, but thankfully they have a great catalog of audiobooks on Overdrive and Libby. Yeah, so that's good. Ours is getting more. I have utilized Overdrive more this past couple years than I used to, mainly for book club books. They still don't have a lot of cozy mystery audio, but for one thing, like if my book club decides to read, all these sort of new releases, those are usually on Overdrive. And if they're not, my librarian will buy them because they're for book club. So that's good. And I think I said this I don't know if I said this in a live stream or in a video, but I said my little hot tip with Overdrive is that if your library doesn't own it and you're going to request it, put it on your Overdrive or Libby, click that you want to recommend it first, and then contact your library to order it, because if they do buy it, you'll be the next, you'll automatically borrow it. You don't have to then get behind everybody else unless you're not the first one who requested it. You'll be in line for whatever.
Yeah, I recommend something and I forget that I've recommended it, and all of a sudden it pops up, there's your book, and I'm like, what book is that?
And I didn't even know about that feature until I think it was Linda Kay, who is a booktuber and a floss tuber. She commented that she does that a lot on Overdrive, where if Overdrive doesn't have the book she wants, she'll just click recommend, and they'll a lot of times will buy it. And I never even saw that feature there. So if you're out there and you use Overdrive, check out that feature.
Well, they even have a coming soon section too that you can like look on to jump on board some of the new ones that everybody's requesting, so that you're not like number 100 out of. Right.
I hadn't noticed that.
You have to wait 2 years for a book.
Yeah.
So, hello, Francesco. She says, MMM reacquainted me with Sue Grafton, her alphabet series. Rereads up to the letter N. Thank you for moderating. You're welcome. Last year, I read all of Cruz Smith's Rinko Russian detective series. I have not heard of those. Have you heard of those, Janelle?
No, I'll have to look
Those
that up.
Yeah. So, is it Francisco? I think I said Francesco. Francisco, have you gone on past N now? What I'm guessing by this is that you had read up to letter N and now you're rereading, or maybe you read them all and now you're rereading and you're up to letter N. Have you read all the way down to Y? Because I know there's not a Z. I'm gonna look up.
So sad.
I know. Let's see. I'm going to look those up too. The only Russian books I've really read, well, I don't know if I've even read more than one. I've read the Gentleman in Moscow, which I loved, but I haven't read any Russian detective series or
I
anything.
do know that series after looking it up. I have the very first book. It's Gorky Park is the very first book, if that's the right one.
Oh, is that the one?
I've heard of
Oh,
Gorky Park. Is that like the movie Gorky Park and
Because
everything?
the main character is Arkady Rinko. So
Huh.
whoa! I didn't realize that. I've heard of Gorky Park. I didn't realize that was this series.
yeah, because I have the first one somewhere around here on one of these shelves.
I always had it in my mind that was an espionage spy series, but is it not? It's more of a detective story. Let me know, Francisco, because I hadn't really looked at it because I'm not hugely into spy stuff. But if it's more detective than espionage, then I'll check it out.
Yeah,
I've read a number of Russian detective books. Boris Akunin has a series, which are really interesting because each different book in his series, he kind of goes with a different subgenre. So he's got one book in his series is set on a cruise ship. And so it's more like kind of like a closed circle style of mystery. But then the other books in the series are different styles. So he's got one that's kind of like, it feels a little more hard boiled. And then another one is, but they're all in the same series with the same detective, which is kind of an interesting way to do it. There's also a really fun one that I read called The Dead Mountaineers Inn. And it was written in the 70s by a pair of detectives. I think they're brothers or friends. I can't remember. And they were famous for their science fiction books. That's what they wrote. They wrote science fiction. And then suddenly they came out with this one called The Dead Mountaineers Inn, which was their nod to like Agatha Christie. They were like, we want to see if we can write like a whodunit. But of course, because they're science fiction authors, they couldn't help but kind of that stuff kind of leaked into their story a little bit. So it's set in Russia at a ski lodge and they get snowed in because of an avalanche. So again, it's that kind of isolated style of mystery.
And what's the book again? Really so I can look it up.
That one's called The Dead Mountaineers Inn. And it's Boris and Arkady Strugatsky, I think is the name of the authors. So that one's a really fun genre blend. If you like to do those genre blends of like, this one would be mystery and science fiction together. That one is really fun.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I added it to my Goodreads. I don't know if I can find any of these books, but I'll put them on my Goodreads. And then, a year from now, I'll think, where did I hear about this book?
Yeah.
I have a section on my Goodreads is books I don't own. I put them there instead of on the want to read because I'm trying to make mostly the want to read like books I actually have.
Oh,
and so
yeah.
I made an exclusive shelf for the books I don't own.
Okay.
And so then I can go through there and be like, somebody mentioned something. Maybe if I put it through the books, I don't know that I can find it.
That's a good idea.
If I don't, I forget that somebody even mentioned it.
So. Yeah.
Nice. All right, let's see what Breezy Ann said. My mom loves the Monica Ferris series. I'd love to try more of them. Yeah, it's really good. And it's interesting because my sister had read, I didn't even know she had read farther down in the series. And then I got a hold of the first book a few years ago, and it's called Cruel Yule. It's and for those of you that don't know, it's Needlecraft Mysteries. So I read the first one and I really enjoyed it. And so I sent it to her and she called me back. She goes, "Oh, I've read some of these, I think, and I've never read the first one. So, it'll be fun to go back and see." But she said, I kind of got turned off the series because it had this supernatural element that I wasn't really interested in. And I am not finding that in the ones I have read so far. And I have read 10 of them. But what I'm wondering is there was one that was maybe fifth or sixth, and it was a Halloween theme. And they did keep bringing up ghosts. There wasn't really anything, but it was because it was Halloween. That topic kept coming up. And I thought, I wonder if she got a hold of that one where they kept talking about ghosts, but they're really, it wasn't like a haunted yarn shop mystery where there really is a ghost, so
I don't really like to read a ton of supernatural or paranormal mysteries, but there are a few, like the Aunt Dimity series. That's the level of, I don't know what you would call it, paranormal.
I call it paranormal light.
Right. Like that's the level that I like. I can totally handle that. But it was hilarious. I was chatting on Voxer for one of Scott and Becky's 24-hour readathons, and one of the participants was reading a Carolyn Hart book, and I love her Death on Demand series. And this was a different series, and the title was The Ghost and Something. And so I said, "Oh, I love Carolyn Hart, but I haven't read that series. How supernatural is it?" And so she goes, "Oh, it's not supernatural at all." And I thought, well, that's interesting with ghost right in the title. So I went to Fantastic Fiction to look the series up, and the main character of that series is a ghost. And I was like, how is that not supernatural at all if the main character is a
It's
ghost?
funny because if you're used to that kind of stuff, it doesn't feel paranormal to you. So it's like, well, it's not paranormal.
That's just normal to her. Yeah.
How paranormal is that? And I have to think, I don't know, how paranormal is it? Because I'm used to that stuff. So it's like, is it like got a lot of stuff or does it not have it?
I thought that was the most hilarious comment. Oh, it's not paranormal at all.
All right. Linda says, "I'm definitely a mood reader and stretch a lot of prompts to make books I want to read fit." Yes, I'm all for that. I'm geeky and I like to check books off my list. I'm all about it. The more lists, the better. Check away.
Yeah.
Awesome.
See, look at this. This is my list of pile of possibilities for March Mystery Madness. And you see, I mark them off.
Great.
As I've read them. That's totally me.
I have that on my computer too. I have my list and I've got them marked in green.
Have you ventured off of your list at all?
Added to my TBR because I read these ones that were
Janelle, have you ventured off your list and picked up anything else that you've read that's not on your list at all?
Oh, 100% that I have. And that's one thing I haven't done is I should actually add them onto here. Because I'm just, at this point, this is like the official, this is what I said, the books that I was going to read in my Pile of Possibilities video.
Yeah.
And I'm actually very proud of myself that I've read what I have, because I've definitely gone off this list and read other books. So for my March Mystery Madness wrap-up video, I'm going to add like the books that were not even on my Pile of Possibilities that I've read, because, I have completely ventured off that list.
So Readers Gotta Read. She says, "I love this audiobook expertise. Thanks for the tips." Oh, and you're welcome. One other thing that I was going to mention, I think the thing I forgot to say earlier is that I've noticed when we were talking about speeding up audio, Hoopla now, I don't know if it's on every book, but they have a feature now where you can customize your speed up to 4 times speed. I can't imagine that I would ever need to go up to 4 times.
I think
it's 4. It's either 3 or 4.
Your book.
The most I've ever went up is probably 2.5.
I've done 3.
I just don't see how. Yeah, I don't see how anybody can do 3, because even at 2.5, it gets a little ridiculous sometimes, and I have to put it down. But it depends on the speed of the narrator too, because sometimes it's like, oh my goodness, you're just so slow. Put you back up there. But 2 is about my norm, and that's probably my one complaint about any play is you can only go up to 1.75.
You can go down to 0.5 times. Ooh. So you can go down to half speed and up as far as 4.0. I mean, maybe if you you might want a 4.0 if, let's say, you were trying to find a particular quote or something in a book and you were just trying to skim through and find it. You know, there's times like if you're trying to remember what was that quote, you know, for book club or something. But I don't think I could listen at 4 point speed. Definitely, and I've heard this said, the way to do it once you get above like 2.0 and really probably even 1.5 is you need earbuds, because there's something about it. If it's in your head, you can focus on it more and you can hear it. But if you're just letting it play, there's too many other sounds coming in there, and that's why it's hard to listen in the car. Like, I don't have a Bluetooth thing or anything like that in my car. So if I want, and now that my CD player is broken, if I want to listen to my car, since, you know, you're not legally supposed to put earbuds in, I have to turn it down to 1.0 or sometimes 1.5, depending on the narrator, to just listen to it out in the open air in my car. I can't, I have to slow it way back down. But then once I get out and I'm like shopping or whatever, I bump it right back up and I'm listening to it. Do y'all ever listen to audiobooks when you're grocery shopping? I find that that's one of the harder places to focus. I will still do it, but it's harder to focus in the grocery store than, for instance, doing something like washing dishes or something like that. Someone mentioned jigsaw puzzles. That's the best pastime to listen to audiobooks. I love doing jigsaw puzzles and listening to audiobooks.
Yeah, it's great.
So let's catch up with the comments, and y'all be thinking if there's anything else you want to say. We are closing in on an hour. Donna says, I also love the narrator Agnes Shankland for Dreamers of the Day by Mary Doria Russell, and the narrator Robert Ian McKenzie of the Love Over Scotland series by Alexander McCall Smith. I have not read the Scotland series. So far, I've only read the number one Ladies Detective Agency, and I want to get more caught up on it this year.
I haven't read that series. One I want to.
It's really good. It's very gentle. It's just common sense. There are mysteries, but she mostly just solves them because she's smart and observant and wise. And you almost always learn some profound life lesson when you read the number one Ladies.
No. Yeah, and she's all about just sitting and talking to people. You know, they have endless cups of bush tea, and she just talks to people. Yeah, but it's great. That's what I love about the series. I love that gentle nature of it. Like, and they're just so warm and comforting. You know, like you just sink down in your chair with your cup of tea and you go, wow.
Yeah, and the narrator. Now, that's one narrator that I can't speed up fast. Well, it's a little bit, but Lizette Leca, she's got a beautiful accent, but I think I've listened to enough now that I know what she's saying. But I think if you were new to that series, that's one that would be harder to speed up.
Sometimes you just like to listen to the person and you don't want to speed them up.
It's really probably not even Afrikaan accent. It's more of like a South African, more of an accent. I think it sounds more British. Is how she narrates that. And Donna, thank you for bringing up narrators. I have gotten bad again about mentioning narrators.
I am so bad about that too.
But there used to be a booktuber. Her name was Jen Talks Audiobooks, and she hasn't been on in a while. But she did a video one time where she was dressing us all down because she was saying, you know, these people have worked hard to narrate books and they should get the credit. So when you're talking about an audiobook you listen to, you really need to be saying who the narrators were. And I would forget, and then I would at least go and put it in the description of my videos. And now I've just gotten super lazy and I haven't done it, and I need to get back to doing it, because she's right. The people who narrate have worked hard to do a great job. And I know we've talked about this in the Killing Time with Cozy's group. We tend to sometimes call out the ones that we don't like, and the ones that we really like, we like them because we don't notice them. They're so good at telling the story that we forget that they're doing a good job because it's so seamless, you know?
Yeah.
So those are the ones we really do need to say, hey, they did a great job, because I didn't even notice that there was a narrator. They did such a good job.
Yeah.
Because it's the ones that pronounce something strange, or, you know,
That grit on your ears, and you're like, oh.
yeah. And it always bugs me, like, for a narrator to be narrating about an actual place and not know how to pronounce the name of the place. And
Yeah.
sometimes it could be a big city. Like, one time I was listening to something and they said Mobile, Alabama. I'm like, what? Come on. Who doesn't know that it's Mobile? That's a big city. And so I don't know. It's just funny. All right, let's catch up with the comments. Where did I get to? But Donna, thank you for bringing up narrators. It definitely helps with parents who have kids who check out on their cards.
That's referring to the number of whole, or like number of books you can take out
Oh,
at a
okay.
time.
So yeah, so like you check out books on your kids' cards. I do the same thing, but I try to only check out things on. Now my kids are adults, but like when they were younger, um, there's certain movies and stuff. Like my daughter wanted to check out a movie, or maybe my husband. I don't know what it was, but the librarian was like, "Well, you can't check this out on their card because this is like a rated R movie, and you can't check it out on a on a 10-year-old's card." I'm like, oh,
That's
that
funny.
makes sense. So, like, I use my daughter's Hoopla sometimes, and I still, even though she's 18, if I'm going to be reading any middle grade books or stuff that's a little more tame, I put those on her card, just in case. I don't want the computer to think that she's reading. So, like, nobody cares, but it's just funny. I'm not going to put something on her card that's
It's like going up
not
to the middle
appropriate.
grade desk with a stack of middle grade, and they're looking at you like, don't judge.
Yeah. Well, and being on BookTube, we've talked about reading middle grade for so long that I don't think anything about it. But I brought up to my mystery book club that we should read the first Enola Holmes book by Nancy Springer for one of our book club picks. And they just got all snobby about it. Like, no, that's a kid's book. Oh. I was like, I know. So? But I was voted down. I was shut down. They did not want to read that. But I mean, adults read kids books all the time on BookTube. And I even have a comment that on one of my videos a long time ago that said, adults are reading children's books. I think our society is broken. And I'm thinking, I didn't even respond. I'm thinking, first of all, whether or not our society is broken has nothing to do with adults reading children's books.
No.
Probably if we read more
right
children's
now.
books. There you go. Is that the Spy School?
No, it's another one from Stuart Gibbs, though. It's his Fun
Okay.
Jungle series. And it's a
Okay.
mystery because Teddy has to solve who's trying to kill the rhino.
Aw. I thought I recognized the font. It looks the same as the Spy Kids.
Yeah.
Talking about middle grade, Elizabeth, have you read any of the Young Precious Remote's Way books?
I have seen those, and I think I did read one of them. Our library doesn't have very many,
Oh, okay.
and I want to read. I want to read those though. Those look cute.
What are
When
they
she
Yeah.
was little, yeah, and started solving mysteries when she was little.
Yeah, so they're by
Does your library have them? How have you been able
our
to access
library
them?
has quite a few. I've only read the one. I don't read middle grade, but when I saw them, I think I grabbed one for last year for March Mystery Madness to do a nod to middle grade March as well. And it was just super cute. Like they're like younger readers, like probably grades 1 to 3, I would say. And I think the series is just called the Young Precious series, maybe, Storm.
Something
I'm not
like that.
entirely sure. But are they ever cute? She's got this little friend that she meets, and they solve these little mysteries. Like in the first one, I don't know if it's the first one. The one that I read, they were hunting for. It was a lion, an actor lion, who had gone missing, and Precious and her friend go off to try and find this missing lion. They were just super adorable.
Is it by Alexander McCall Smith?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and so
And
it's the same main character. It's just like
yeah,
prequels, like of when she
just when
was
she was little.
when she
Yeah,
was
and
younger.
the illustrations in them are great. That's what I loved. I loved the illustrations. Like getting this little glimpse into Botswana was really fun.
Emily is needing me. So let me zip through the comments real quick and then I'm going to have to sign off. So Donna says, my local library limit is 35. I have around 30 out now. My reading has been more erratic since the pandemic because of publishing issues. So I end up getting books way after I meant to read them. Yeah. You know, that's always the struggle is getting them when you want them. Sue Grafton books pretty clean. I was wondering that myself, Linda. Maybe you guys could tell us. Are they very gritty or?
I would say they're pretty clean. There's
Okay.
a little, I mean, there's a little bit of violence. There's she's got some relationships, but on the whole, I'd say they're pretty clean.
Okay,
I think we've
good.
had the argument in Killing Time with Cozies as if we could consider them cozy or not.
Oh, I would say no. No, Sue Grafton books aren't cozy.
Because Goodreads, some people have put them as cozy, and it's like, I think that depends on the person's, you know, if they read really gritty, then those seem like cozies.
Yeah, I guess so.
Depends on
Yeah.
your threshold. Well, and also if she is a professional private detective, then it doesn't fit that. But then I think there are a few that I would still consider cozy, even though the sleuth is professional, like Mr.
I've heard
Monk.
people
I
talk
think those are
about
cozy.
the Louise Penny books as cozy mysteries, and I'm like, they're not cozy.
Yeah, I don't consider those. They're set in like a cozy setting, but
yeah, and it's because the small town setting, but it's like,
yeah,
they're not cozy.
that's about where it stops. So Mr. Francis says, I've been using Scribd mostly. They have a ton of cozies and so good for me. Yes. They don't have, if they don't have it, Audible usually does, although not always in Australia. So I found though that, see, I don't have the Audible membership where I buy one every month. I just have Audible Plus, and they don't have, at least I haven't been able to find very many cozies on Audible Plus, but I haven't looked lately. But I do have.
He doesn't have a lot of cozies, period. He's having the hardest time finding cozies.
I know, and I was saying a while back that we need to like get together. We need to know your wish list, Mr. Francine. We'll put a goodie box together for you and send you some cozy mysteries. All right. So Kinsey, Sue Grafton has a way of turning a phrase a real hoot. Grafton loved to read Mean Street Mystery. Is it Main Street or Mean Street? Is there something called Mean Street? It is Mean Street. Okay. I'm not familiar with that. So her books are a mixture of Mean Street and cozy due to her found family of her landlord. Okay. Yeah. Awesome. And Sue Grafton is also important to read because she, along with Marcia Muller and Sarah Paretsky, made room for U.S. female detectives outside the paradigm of hardcore American male PI/British village. Yep. Yeah. That is definitely an important contribution. Working on rereads on Grafton, Rinko is a detective in Moscow. Gorky Park was first book, and movie turned me into the series. There are 7 books. So that was my question. The movie Gorky Park is based on that book. So is this an older book, an older series? Because I did not know that. Paranormal is normal for me. I must go there every now and then. Yes, that's good, Donna. Rinko solves murders in Russian fishing boat, Chernobyl, and in communist Cuba. Goodreads. Yeah, that sounds really interesting. I have not. I haven't read.
Yeah, I have book 1. I think it's from the 80s, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Interesting. All right, Janelle, I want you to get on that and let us know what you think.
All right, I will.
and Storm, you too.
Yep, I'm like, I'll read that and get back to me. I have the first one. I couldn't find it.
Yeah.
All right. I crochet while listening to audiobooks. I've gotten to the point where I'm in autopilot with crocheting, but need help to keep myself moving while listening. And so it's a good compromise. Yeah, I think that's a great idea to do some kind of handwork. I have to be doing something with my hands or like driving when I'm listening to an audiobook, because somehow that helps me to focus. I can't just sit and listen. You know, if I'm going to do that, I could just read the book. You know, I need to be doing something. One time at work, I was talking to a girl who she liked to listen to audiobooks, and she watched a little bit of BookTube and everything. And So we were on a break between shows, and I was walking around, and I looked and I saw her. She was just sitting at the table with her audiobook, just listening. And I thought, I can't do that. I gotta go for a walk or something, well, but to each his own. So it's fine.
Yeah.
All right. Hello, Julianne. How are
Hi,
you doing?
Julianne.
Good to see you. We're trying to wrap it up here, but I'm glad that you stopped by. Just finished the second Lady Detective Agency, Tears of Giraffe. Good. Yes, I love that series. I'm on at least 13 or 14 of that series now.
I didn't know there was that many. Wow.
Oh, there's
Lots.
like over 20. Yeah,
Over
and there's
20.
some novellas too. Breezy Ann says, that's a great point. I tend to just say if I like or dislike a narrator, but it's a great idea to say the names of the one I enjoy. Yes, yes. Narrators are really actors. I agreed. So if we love how they portray characters and set the tone of the story and series, we can appreciate them just as David Suchet's Poirot, did I say it right?
Mhm.
And Joan Hickson's Marple. Yes.
Yes, Donna, very true.
April 2nd is U.S. National Illustrated Children's Book Day. I plan to read as many children's illustrated books as I can that day. Love how the artwork mixes with the stories. Anyone game to join me? All right, what day? April the 2nd. All right, Donna, I may be at a family reunion, but remind me. And all the rest of you guys out there, April the 2nd, National Illustrated
I
Children's
need to
Book
look
Day.
and see if I can find some more Erie Elementary books because they're like really heavily illustrated. And I read one yesterday. It was called The Locker Ate Lucy.
And don't be afraid to go check them out from your library. Nobody
Yeah.
cares. It can be fun to go and browse through the children's section.
I do all the time, and I see like little kids looking at me, and I'm like, "Don't tell."
I just finished Precious and the Mystery of Meerkat Hill prequel. Okay, so yeah, Julianne, we were just talking about the Young Precious books, and Janelle read the one about where they were looking for the lion that was an actor that was missing. So I'm not sure how many there are, but there are several of those. So it's funny. We were just talking about that. And here's Janie. Hi, Janie. I have found a lot of free cozies for Kindle. Okay. Like on just free ones that you can buy and keep, or on
Yeah, you
Go
can
Unlimited?
now and again find like the first book for free on just regular like Kindle, not KU.
Okay. If you guys don't know Janie, Bookworm's buddy, she has been on BookTube for years and years and years, and took a couple years off, and has just recently come back to BookTube and has been making some videos. So she says hello. So y'all be sure and check out her channel. It's just what it says there, Bookworm's buddy.
It was like
She-
he looks kind of familiar, so I think maybe I've been over there.
Yeah, she's been on a long time. Janie, do you think you'll ever bring back the Tuesday thing that you and Janelle used to do? She has a Goodreads group, and they used to do like a theme every Tuesday, some kind of a question, and they would do a video about it, kind of like how Sarah and gosh, what's her name? That do the no, Sarah's Nightstand. Her and they do like that book list Thursday.
Lindsay,
Where they have a theme every Thursday. Janie and Janelle from Mrs. J. Rod's Reads used to do a thing every Tuesday where they had some kind of a bookish question, and you could go on their Goodreads group and answer it. But they always did she always did a video about it. So she's talking about books that you can keep. Oh, that's good to know. Y'all have to check that out. You don't keep it's hard to keep in touch with Janelle these days. I see her every once in a while commenting to somebody. I think she commented to a video of Troy's a while back. And I meant to say hello. All right, so I'm caught up, I think, with the chat. I'm sorry, you guys who just got here. I hate to cut it off, but I did tell Janelle we would try to keep it to an hour, and I appreciate both you gals coming on short notice. I'm always last minute, Lizzie, getting these things done. I do have someone lined up for next week, though, and I think it's going to be awesome. It will be unlike anyone you've ever seen before on my channel, and I'm so excited about who my guests are going to be next week. And it is definitely going to be mystery related, and I'm going to keep it a surprise, keep it a secret, but I'm super excited. So that being said, I will sign off. Thank you, Breezy. I'm glad you were here. Glad you enjoyed it. And I guess that's it for now. Oh, and I will say, and I want you guys to say what's coming up on your channel. I filmed over the weekend 2 more videos in my shelf spotlight, but because I was so busy trying to finish up my books that were expiring on Hoopla, I didn't have time to edit them. So I got to try to get at least one of those out this evening or first thing in the morning. So those will be coming soon. And what else? And Janelle is doing her game. I got behind again. I try to like catch up in chunks where I like watch several and then I'll come back and catch up. She's doing her game where you can play along.
I'm also hosting reading sprints again this weekend, Saturday the 26th, 2 p.m. Mountain Time. So join me if you want to get some reading in.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
Very good. And Storm leads reading sprints on Fridays.
Yeah, I have one on Friday, and I'll just do it like everybody else does because I don't get confused. It's 6 Eastern, even though that's not my time zone. But I'm just used to saying it because most of the people that I host with are in the Eastern. So
yeah. So you're in Central, right? So so for you, it's 5. Awesome. Okay. Well, thanks for being here, everybody. Oh, hey, Mandy. I'm sorry, we were just signing off, but hopefully you can come back and watch the replay. Thanks for stopping by. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for being here, both in the chat and Janelle and Storm. Thanks for joining me. Let's have a fun last. How many days is it now? 10 days left of March Mystery Madness. Try not to be burned out. Try to read something fun and enjoy what you read. And that is it for now. I hope you guys are having a great day. Read a good book, and God bless you.
Bye.